The Indiana Pacers have one of the best offenses in the NBA. These guys are scoring 140 plus points a night on a regular basis, yet we're still not looking at them as a contender. One of the most promising young stars in Tyrese Haliburton. So how do the Pacers become a contender? We're going to talk about it on the pod today. We're going to go through 4 trades that we think could make the Pacers a contender this year or next year. We're going to get into it right after this.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Triple Cross Podcast, where we talk sports and we give away sports memorabilia. You can win stuff. You can win gift cards, jerseys, signed jerseys, cards, all kinds of stuff. All you got to do is comment on the video, comment something, comment your take. What trade do you think can make the Pacers a contender? Tell us who you think the Pacers should target in a trade. We're talking about the Pacers today. I know they're not the most popular team, but we got to talk about them because these dudes can score points, and that's exciting. And, they're kind of on the verge. So tell us who you think the Pacers should target. If you're the Pacers GM, if I crowned you tomorrow, dear viewer, if you're the Pacers GM, who are you targeting in a trade? Drop it in the comments. Our favorite comment. So tell us why. Our favorite comment, we're going to give away. We give away gift cards every week to our favorite commenters. We usually do that on Friday, right? And we post that in our other video, our next episode. So drop the comments below. If you want to join us live, we actually have a private community on Playback, playback.tv/triplecross. The link to that is in the description. They watch us record these episodes live, and we do giveaways just for them. So join us live sometime for that. Casey, this is slowly, I think this is going to become your team in like 3 years, the Pacers.
I think so.
Because you're very much a player fan, and your main player that you're a fan of is He's on the back nine.
Yeah.
He's going to leave basketball to become a professional golfer at some point. And then all you'll have left is Tyrese Haliburton. I like Hallie.
I agree. I'm a big Hallie fan. Big Hallie fan. It's serendipitous that I liked him. You can vouch. He's the kind of play style I like out of my guards in particular. Yeah. I like my guards to be guards. I like them diming it up. I like them to be able to shoot too, but they got to distribute first and foremost. Unless you're Steph, obviously you can do whatever you want if you're Steph. When it comes to Hallie,
ultimate green light if you're Stephen Curry.
Yeah. Absolutely, just perma green. Yeah. I was already warming on Hallie kind of the first year that he broke out. I think it was his rookie year. He already broke out a little bit. Then I found out he was roommates with Brock Purdy last year at college, and that just sealed the deal. It's like, well, you're now my favorite NBA player, minus Steph. So yeah, I agree. Hallie and the Pacers, an exciting team on the rise, and we picked them in particular because not too many teams are talking about that, or not too many people are talking about them, but they deserve to be talked about. They're on the verge. They're definitely a playoff level team, but most people don't think they can go all the way. And the experiment today is, how do they go all the way? What are the pieces they need? I got an idea for one, John. Are we ready to get into it?
All right, let's kick it off. We got 4 trades. Casey got 2. I got 2. Kick us off, Casey. What do we like? So I'll share this. So for the YouTube videos, I'll actually do a little screen share here, and we'll see if these trades work on our trade finder NBA trade machine. It calculates the salary cap and all that stuff for us, so we don't have to. So we got the Pacers on one side. Who's the team you want on the other side, Casey?
Yeah, so this first one, you already mentioned it. They have a great offense. They're looking for more defense. I'll admit I saw this guy all over the headlines if you're looking for trade rumors. So I kind of borrowed this one, but I liked it a lot. I'm a big fan of this player. We are going up north to north of the border, the land up over. If Australia is down under, is that up over
the
great wild north? Fight north. Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
We're going to the wall. Canada. We're going to the wall. We're going all the way to the wall with this one.
The place where you'd hate to be a truck driver, all kinds of things about Canada.
Maybe just the place where you kind of hate to live in general.
Yeah, we're gonna pick up some defense.
Leaving that one there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Canada.
Right? Yeah, you know what? Canada, we love you.
Yeah, we're gonna pick some defense here. You're already hovering over the guy. You know where we're going.
Yeah,
definitely a guy I like. Put OG Anunoby in the trade. And the way that we're going to pull off this trade is we're going to have to give something up that we don't want to necessarily if we're the Pacers. But I do find that he's a good trade piece as I was trying to make some trades go through here. We're going to offer up Buddy Hield. And that's not something that Pacers fans want to hear, but you got to sacrifice something if you want to get something. And if the offense is already going, if Hallie can keep it running without Hield, that affords you some extra money to play with on defense.
So here we go. We're gonna see if this works. Obviously, the picks and stuff don't matter if we make this work. But really quick, let's look at the picks that the Pacers have, and I think that the Raptors might do something straight across for Hield. But let's say they wanted picks from the Pacers. As you're looking at this, Pacers have a 2024 first rounders, one of them via a trade. They got plenty of picks to give. Would you throw any picks into this if you're the Pacers? Or are you like, no, this is enough value? Would you even look for picks from this if you're the Pacers?
I mean, just being a good general manager, I would look to add some more picks to their side and get more for my team.
Yeah.
So I mean, we could play with that. I don't know if it'd go through that way. I do think that Hield is
the picks won't affect whether it'll go through in terms of cap management. But in order to get the deal done, would you be willing to add picks into it if you were the Pacers?
Maybe. I don't know. We have 4 different options, so it's kind of a collective, like across like the different options you have across the league. I wouldn't be looking to. I don't think so.
I would not. I would look for straight across value here. I would not look to add picks into this if I were the Pacers. So,
like I said, I would be looking to grab some extra picks. We could try tossing in I don't know what the Raps have here, but we could toss on one of the Raps picks and see.
Yeah, let's say it took a second rounder in 2025. Unprotected.
Wait, that's the wrong side. You're adding a Pacers pick.
Yep. Oh, you're wanting a pick from them. Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to give up anything. I want to see before we even offer this straight up. Could we get something extra?
All right. So
round 2 pick next draft.
Let's try this trade.
And it worked. Next draft.
It works with the pick. The pick doesn't affect the cap. So OG for Buddy Hield, basically straight across. You could do it with picks as well. If I'm the Pacers, I would not throw picks into this for the Raptors to make it work. I would try and get some picks from them, but if they wouldn't give me picks, I would still go straight across. OG
can we run this back? Throw a better draft pick in there. Let's see where it breaks.
The pick shouldn't break it because it's just cap management.
I don't think it is cap management. I played with this and did some player for player stuff that the cap would work, and I think it did.
I mean, the best pick they have works.
Okay. Well, either that. Hey, do me a favor. Let's go crazy. Let's find this out now before we get into the other ones. Add in all their picks. Let's see if let's test this theory.
Okay.
Because I was under the impression for sure.
Like literally all their picks?
I mean, let's stop after this one. That should be plenty of value. If this goes through, then maybe I'm more of your mind. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
I think they're just managing the cap on this. So
fair enough.
I think this is actually a relatively real. If I were to give this a scale of 1 to 10, how realistic this trade would be, I think this is relatively realistic from the Raptors. Like they would do this. I think the Pacers would be hesitant to move on from Buddy Hield.
I agree. This was not my favorite actually trade that I came up with. I started with my less preferred option, but I do think it's an option they would consider still. And especially if the season goes on and you're like, man, the offense is good. The defense just needs some work. OG Anunoby is an instant difference maker in that regard, and that regard only. He's not going to put up a ton of points, but he's going to have multiple blocks some nights. He's going to get some steals. He's good. He can rebound okay too. He's just a more all around player than Hield is. So
yeah. All right, let's move into my first pick here. So for me, I'm going to look for a trade. This is a weird one. I wouldn't say that I'm actually a big fan of this. Well, I am kind of a fan of it, but I just wanted to throw something weird into the mix, something that you're not probably hearing anywhere else. I don't think that the Sixers would do this. So we're going to go to the 76ers, and we're going to see if we can put together a package for Tobias Harris. And if in that package we put Buddy Hield, Mathurin, and Nesmith. So we go Buddy Hield in the trade, Benedict Mathurin in the trade, and Aaron Nesmith in the trade. That should work. And I would maybe even be able to be willing to throw picks at the Sixers to make this work, though. The Sixers picks aren't going to be important to them. They're very much a win now team. But I would even be willing to throw picks into this maybe if I'm the Pacers. So first of all, let's see why if this trade works. Yes, it does work. So Harris, Hield, Mathurin, Tobias Harris for Buddy Hield, Benedict Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith. My math was right on that. I think a lot of people would look at me and say, like, you're trading away all your young talent for this very win now type of guy. I think this is one of the few guys, like, if I look at the Pacers and I say, what do they need? They don't need what they don't need what Nesmith and Mathurin and Hield. They don't need more of that. Hield is very valuable to them for sure, but Harris can also shoot close to 40% on catch and shoot, so he can fill that same role. Maybe he shoots slightly less efficiently than Hield does on catch and shoots and off of screens. But the other thing that Harris can do is he can get a bucket when you need it, and they don't have that, like, hey, we've got no time left. We've got 7 seconds left. We got to just simplify this, get this thing to our best player, and let that guy get a bucket. Harris can actually do that. Now, he's not done that in the last few years because he's been relegated to a different role in the 76ers, but he's capable of doing that. So you add another bucket getter, which is what the Pacers really need. Now, this is a little bit of flyer. Harris is only on 1 year, so you would have to fill him out because Pacers, they're not going to do this and then win this year. That's not going to happen. So this would be like, Tobias Harris, are you willing to re-up with the Pacers? Are you willing to take, you're in your later years now. Are you willing to take a more team-friendly deal? My instinct says he probably thinks he has a better chance of winning a ring with the Sixers than the Pacers. So it would be a matter of, like, do you want a more expanded role in a contender team? Do you want to play with, a really promising young talent, which he's got the other Tyrese on his team too. I don't know if, at the end of the day, I just don't know if they could make this trade work, if people would do it. But I did want to throw something just creative out there, creative and different. If I'm the Sixers, I'm probably not pulling the trigger on this.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably not, right? The Sixers feel like they're in contention, so it feels like trading for kind of this weird
trading your third best player for a bunch of role players just doesn't.
Yeah, and I don't know, where would Buddy Hield fall in on this? He'd still be in their top 5, obviously.
He'd still be a role player for that. And that's kind of at his core. Buddy Hield's a role player, and he's like the second best player on the pace. He's not really the second best player, but like he's this very important part of their offense. And that's the problem, is they need another real scorer besides needing defense,
Yeah. No, I like the idea to go after Harris. He feels like he fits the team identity. He's one of these kind of like unsung hero types a little bit, or at least recently he has been in recent years.
Yeah.
And he does fill out a stat sheet well. Like he's again, taking a guy like Hield who has a skill or two, he's a very specific type of player. Tobias Harris is going to do a lot more for this team. Yeah. And probably provide a little bit more of that. Like Tobias Harris has a few years on Hield as well.
Some veteran presence.
Exactly. My main issue with this is the contract. It's 1 year. So yeah, it's tough to trade for a guy who you'll have to then negotiate with. You basically get the right to negotiate with him first. On the plus side, though, you probably don't have to re-sign him for $39 million again on this next contract.
Yeah, I would hope not. No, not at whatever he is.
So
5 years old or something.
I like where your head's at. Ultimately,
it was a creative idea.
Maybe I do like this one better than the Anunoby trade, which was kind of like chalky from like a lot of the media. Maybe it's really close to me, but I'll go ahead and leak a little foresight into the next one. Not my favorite trade of the group that we still have coming up.
Okay. All right. What you got for your next one?
All right. So I stayed true. This is my last one. I definitely do think that, so far the best trade piece that we've explored on the Pacers is Buddy Hield, and we're going to stay true to that. We're going to put Buddy Hield in here, and we're going to go to a place where not many people are going to expect us to go extract talent to get the Pacers over the top and win them a championship. We're going all the way down to Orlando for a little bit of that magic, a little of that David Copperfield midnight magic, baby.
Man, what are you talking about? They're second in the Eastern Conference. They are they're a pool of talent.
and everybody acts like it all the time, right? Everybody talks about the
Yeah,
Magic
we
like
all know
they're
they're going to
premier
sustain
team.
that or rise, I'm
Yeah.
sure. You know.
But why not capitalize on that? If you're the Magic and you think like most of the nation that they can't sustain, then I mean, hey, make good now, sell high on some of these assets, right? Maybe
Yeah.
I'm talking myself into why they would do this. So basically, our target here again, prioritizing defense. We're looking at Jonathan Isaac, who is a great defender, a little bit different style defender, admittedly, than like Anunoby. Um, he's a taller guy, more of an inside defender. I tend to think the inside defense is very helpful as well, though, and I think
Yeah.
they could use some of that still. I like
They
my
need.
bigs big,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
he's
they've
a
got
big boy.
Miles Turner. But yeah, I mean, look,
Yeah.
Miles Turner can't play every minute, and so perimeter defense is probably more of a need. But Jonathan Isaac's a young player, and most young players can switch 1 through 5. That's how they're trained.
Right. I do think Isaac can guard 1 through 5, and also, having a little bit more security inside, maybe it puts a little bit less stress on the guys who are the perimeter defenders more so. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to talk my trade more into existence.
Yeah.
The reasons why they should do it, but I do think that Isaac is on a good contract. 17 mil, 2
Yeah.
years. That's not bad. You're gonna actually get some cap back compared to Buddy Hield there, but I don't think they'll go for this exact. Or they'll go for this, but we're gonna try to get even more. There's a swap I want to do with this trade. On top of this trade, I'm gonna add Toppin,
Okay. Obi Toppin.
Obi
Added
Toppin, which
from
sounds
the
like
Pacers.
just like a euphemism or something, like
What
Obi
is
Toppin.
who
I don't know.
his parents had the last name Toppin, and then they were like,
Obi.
you know what, we should name our son Obi, like
Yeah,
Obi-Wan. I wonder if his middle name's One. Obi-Wan Toppin.
yeah. Interesting naming
Interesting
convention by the
choice.
parents.
Interesting choice. Yeah,
I don't
you
know,
know,
man. I
it's
don't know
what it
about
is.
that. And frankly, that's why we're kicking him off the team. You got a weird name,
Yeah,
dude.
you
Get
got a
off the
weird
team.
name. We don't know. I don't know what to do with that, buddy.
We are going straight for one of my favorite guys watching from college basketball, Gonzaga legend, Jalen Suggs. I do think so. This is a little bit more to replace what you're giving up in Hield.
Yeah,
When you were talking about
more of a
trading
shooter.
for Tobias Harris, hopefully he can replace Hield somewhat, right? Maybe say replace 80% plus of Hield's production and also bring something to the defense, right? Well, here we're already bringing something new to the defense with Isaac. I think clearly they've taken a step forward in defense. And Jalen Suggs, I see as this young guy who fills the same sort of role as the shooting guard on this team. I think he is up and coming. I saw a lot of him in Gonzaga. He's also on this 2-year deal. So again, it's kind of set in place for next year, which we both agree is really the year they'd be trying to make the first year they'd try to make a real serious run at a ring. So this falls in perfectly into place. They kind of go win now next year. I think Isaac and Suggs can be those guys for them to replace the production. I think they come out of this trade way ahead if they'll go for it. You do give up probably the best player in the whole thing in Buddy Hield, but that's the only reason they're going for this trade. Let's see if this trade simulator will allow such a thing.
Yep, our math is good.
Okay. So, John, do you think so? Maybe now I'm realizing that the trade machine is more of a cap manager.
Yeah.
I swear I messed with this and found just trade for trade players that didn't say salary was the issue and it wouldn't do it. Do you think that the Magic would go for this?
Dude, I can never tell what the Magic are thinking because in my head, the Magic just have to know that they suck, right? But then now what they're doing is working really well. So I'm like, did they do this on purpose? Like, did they know that this was going to work and this is like the plan? Or are they like, oh my gosh, we're winning games. I don't know what's going on. So, yeah, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have no idea what the Magic could do. Would I do it if I was the Magic? No, probably not. Mainly because
No?
I'd be like, here's if I was the Magic, Casey, and I had this I wouldn't be in the situation I'm currently in if I was the Magic. I wouldn't have this combination of players. But if I was the Magic and I happen to have this combination of players, I'd be like, well, I guess I did something right without trying to. So maybe I just shouldn't mess with it. Maybe I should just not do this trade. So I probably wouldn't really be open to any trades. But maybe I'm not the person to ask. Maybe somebody down in Orlando actually is doing things on purpose over there.
Yeah, maybe. I do like the contract situation. I think that's probably a strong point in the good for the Pacers if the Magic would
Yeah.
do this
Yeah.
conversation. Because I agree with you that this year is not the year for the Pacers. I
So,
hope that they have a great run and they get people excited and they kind of become a real contender in everybody's eyes for next year.
yeah,
But I do think they are probably they're probably a piece away, something like that.
they're a ways away. And I'll talk about what they really need because we're
Yeah.
trying to do some trades that would just work for them right now. And at the end of the day, like, would any of these trades put them over the top? I don't know. Personally, I think my next one maybe has the best chance of like.
Before we move on to it,
Yeah. Go ahead.
because I won't let the cat out of the bag. I love the next trade you have lined up too. I think it's probably the one that wins the day. So before we get into that one, how do you rate these trades if the other team was in on it? Where do you put this one? The Raptors, the 76ers, the Magic, those are the three trades we've talked about already. Because I at least like this one better than the straight up trade Healed for Anunoby. I think you get a little bit more here.
I like the Magic trade better than Healed for Anunoby. I think the 76ers trade is so unlikely to happen that it's hard for me to even put it in the same zone, you know.
Okay. Would you do
It
the
was
Raptors one if you were? You're saying that would
I
be
think both sides. I think the Raptors one is very realistic. I think if I were the Pacers, I probably wouldn't do it. I think the Raptors would definitely do that. Anunoby.
okay. So you think but you do think the Pacers would reject that trade for
I
Anunoby
think
straight up
that
for Healed?
I think that the Pacers are very bought into Healed, and I'll talk about why in a little bit. But I think the Pacers are very bought into Healed.
Fair enough. Okay, but you think they would reject that trade? You think that the 76ers would likely reject the Healed and Mathurin
Yeah, and Nice
and
and
Nesmith
for
for Harris?
Harris. And
I mean, they got some names
I
on
don't
this
know
squad.
I don't know
So,
that the Pacers would even offer that. I would
right.
consider it if I were the Pacers. I'd float it and see what they thought if I were the
Do,
Pacers for sure.
do you think that the Magic trade is like this proposed trade here is something that would be considered at least? Like it's it because you kind of said this is the middle one as far as what you think would
I
be best for
I
the
think that
Pacers.
yeah, I really it's hard for me to get a beat on what they're thinking in Orlando, but I think so
No,
maybe.
I'm if you're just Pacers,
If
Magic's
you're
in.
Yeah, if the Magic are
Would you
in,
do it? Pacers? Would you do it?
I still think they're very bought into Healed, but
Okay. Hey,
I would
I think he's the best guy out of these four.
I maybe and if I'm the Pacers and this is on the table, that's probably the one that looks best for Healed because the Harris thing, even if the Sixers were in on that, he's only on 1 year, he's a little bit older. Um, so I think if I'm the Pacers, that Healed and Toppin for Isaac and Suggs might be my best target of the three we've covered so far.
Love it. But ultimately, I agree with you. The best one is yet to come, and I won't steal your thunder. Go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the best one. Now we'll get into like what we would have to do to make this work because I don't know that they would go straight across for this. But let's switch the teams here. We're gonna go to the team that most people think is the biggest seller right now. Biggest seller, the Chicago Bulls, and we're gonna leave Healed out of this. We're gonna go Obi Toppin to the Bulls. Bulls receive Obi Toppin. And the Pacers receive the best, in my opinion, the number one best trade target in the entire NBA, Mr. Alex Caruso, on only $9 million a year for 2 years.
Woo.
Only $9 million a year for Alex Caruso, premier perimeter defender. Look, the Bulls are sellers. So I don't know if they would do this Caruso for Toppin straight across. If I'm the Pacers, I have picks, right? So let's look at picks here. I am willing to get aggressive here. I'm willing to throw in my next year's first rounder, at least one of those first rounders for next year. I'm willing to throw in like maybe another first rounder as well. And yeah, so this Indiana will receive. I don't know how this like conditional first rounder is, but whatever pick they wanted for next year's first rounder, because I have two, I would throw one of those in and I would throw it in unprotected. I would go pretty aggressive on picks to get Caruso because he has one of the most team-friendly deals in the league. And what they need is perimeter defense, and he's got it. And he shoots pretty well, right? He's what is Toppin shooting on the year? Let's see. Obi Toppin. Let's pull this up here. Obi Toppin is shooting like like 32.9%. No, that's career. 36% from the 3-point line on the year. Alex Caruso's stats.
He's got
Caruso's
a
shooting
negative 0.55 LeBron score, in case you were wondering.
Yeah. Caruso is shooting 47% from the 3-point line this year. That must be on a really small number of attempts.
Wow.
No, he's shooting 2 for 4, 3 for 5, 2 for 6, 1 for 2, 2 for 6, 2 for 4, 4 for 5. He's shooting 4 to 6 3-pointers a night, and he's shooting 47%. I mean, it won't stay there, but my point stands. The thing that I already knew, Caruso can shoot. He is a good catch and shoot guy, which is what essentially Obi Toppin is for the Pacers. He fits right into the offense, and he brings a lot of defense to the table. So then you got McConnell, who's one of the peskiest defenders on the perimeter in the league. You got Caruso, who's one of the best, like just stand in there and take their best player on perimeter defenders in the league. You got Miles Turner on the interior. You got you keep Buddy Hield. So now you have Tyrese Haliburton, Buddy Hield, and Alex Caruso, who are all above 40% 3-point shooters. I'm going to count Alex Caruso in that because technically he is this year. I think, and you've got a very free team-friendly deal at $9.4 million over 2 years. Bulls are selling. I'm willing to get aggressive for Caruso if I'm the Pacers. This is a trade I think they should very much go after. Now, there's a lot of rumors that, you know, the Lakers are looking at Caruso. A lot of people are looking at Caruso. Caruso is the best trade target in the league. A lot of people are looking at him. So, I mean, he's only a good trade target if you can get him for the right price, though. So, and I think the Pacers can get pretty aggressive here because they've got the picks to do it. The only team that really has picks, you know, to do it more than they do is the Jazz, and I don't think they're that interested in Caruso.
Yeah, that's not even to mention Bruce Brown. You know, that backcourt's going to have.
Yeah, dude, I didn't even say anything about Bruce Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have other bodies too, but he's worth mentioning probably.
For sure.
Obviously, a championship pedigree going on there.
Yeah.
And I mean, this one, John, I think this one would be tough to go through. Like Caruso feels like such an obvious.
Caruso for Toppin straight across wouldn't go through, but if the Bulls are really selling and really rebuilding,
Toppin is a young guy. He's on a multi-year contract, I think.
He's on 1 year, but if they don't like him, they can move on. They can re-sign him.
Well, I mean,
he's not good enough. He's not good enough that he's going to get a ton on the re-sign anyway.
Right. He won't demand it. Like that's actually a situation where you like the trade for a guy with 1 year left because you go, hey, there's not going to be this huge market on him. We get the right to like work with him on a contract extension before anybody else. So if you are looking to rebuild, I could see it maybe happening because of that. But not straight across. I think there would definitely be some picks involved for this. It feels too lopsided.
I mean, I'd be willing to even get more players involved as well. I would be going after this very aggressively. Obviously, this is the most simple version to make the cap work. And I know I've already done the math here, but yeah, Caruso, really great guy for cap space. So yeah, you'd have to get aggressive on picks, but they should be looking at Caruso. If the Bulls are sellers, like everybody says they are, then the Pacers should be looking at Caruso because they need perimeter D.
I agree, John. And maybe this question I have for you is taking it one step too far. But this one particular trade, I feel like is so juicy if they could get it to work in any facet. You know, maybe add in a player swap of a little bit better player on the Pacers and somebody else on the Bulls, or just another player in general from the Pacers or some picks or whatever. Let's say they acquire Alex Caruso without losing anybody substantial. Does that actually change how they look in your mind this season? Does that maybe make them a contender this year? Is he that big a deal? Because it becomes borderline for me with a guy like Caruso, who's literally the custom built solution for what the Pacers are looking for right
now. No, I don't think they become a championship contender this year. But I think, you know, if I'm looking at the East, let's look at this. So if I'm looking at the East, I think that the Bucks and the Celtics are still runaways. I think the Magic won't hold up. But that would probably make me put the Pacers up in. So I happen to think that the Cavs are in the same tier as the Sixers. And that might have me putting the Pacers up in the Sixers, Cavs, Pacers tier. Some people say the Knicks are in that tier as well, in the Heat. So, yeah, I think that, you know, right now they're like a 6 seed or a play-in team is where they're going to land. And I think that puts them like there's the 2 runaways, and then that puts them like right in the chase pack. That trade does. But it also, I mean, Caruso, how old's Caruso? Caruso's probably got another contract left in him.
28?
Yeah, he's probably got another contract left in him. He's a crafty player. The Pacers are young; they can continue to build around that core. Here is what the Pacers really have to do to become a contender, and this is why I don't think they should move on from Hield, and why I would be hesitant to move on from Hield if I were the Pacers. Their prototype, their team that they need to model is like the 2013 Warriors. They've got to make those two the Splash Brothers. They've got to make Tyrese Haliburton and Buddy Hield the new Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. They need to find their enforcer. I mean, Miles Turner's kind of it. Like that is their model, and it's really a ton of player development from those two, and then defensive pieces, right? So the Warriors, a lot of their role players were just like really strong defensive pieces, and everybody can shoot, right? So the Warriors have a rule on their team: a shot created must be taken, right? Anytime somebody creates a shot for you, you got to be able to hit it. So that's really like the model for the Pacers is like, are these two good enough to be as good as those two? I think now we look at it and say, oh, Hield could be better than Klay. I mean, we're talking about prime Klay. Prime Klay was dang good. He was really good. He was a great 3-and-D player, and Hield would really have to pick it up on defense. Now, player development, people can develop on defense. People can develop. So yeah, I don't know. That's really, I think the formula for them being that good is just a lot of player development out of those two. If Tyrese Haliburton is going to be the guy that you build your team around, he's got to be a guy who, basically on his own is capable of making you a 6 seed in the East or a 5 seed in the East. That's kind of what Steph Curry at that point in time is capable of, right? So that's the model for Tyrese. I love Tyrese. He's not that good yet. I think he's very good. I love him. He's not there yet. That's where he has to get if the Pacers want to be a contender. He has to be one of the best players in the league, and then the Pacers are a contender. And there's no trade other than picking up a big name free agent. They get a disgruntled Kevin Durant or whatever. They pick up a big free agent or something like that. That could change things. But other than that, that's kind of their main recourse. And they got Tyrese on that rookie deal for the next 6 years, so he's got time.
Yeah, I'm not sure Kevin Durant would make a difference because we already decided he's no good at basketball.
Yeah, he sucks at basketball. Not good at all. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing. It's like, he was one of the superstars that moved last season. Yeah, I mean, they're in a position they could pick up a disgruntled superstar, get somebody in free agency or whatever. The thing is, nobody goes to Indiana in free agency. Nobody goes to Utah in free agency. Nobody goes to Denver in free agency. Now they might, but nobody goes to Portland in free agency. People go to LA, people go to New York, people go to Boston, people go to Miami. So they're not going to get anyone in free agency. They can maybe grab a disgruntled superstar on a trade. That would be another thing for them, but that's unlikely as well. I think if you look at the model for a championship team, their model has to be the Warriors, and it has to be a lot of player development out of Buddy Hield and Tyrese. As good as they already are, they've got to be next level.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The Pacers, they're up in the top half of teams, probably. I think that's fair to say, at least in the East. And
they're fun. I love them. I love TJ McConnell. They're fun to watch. They're so fun to be a fan of.
It's just tough to crack through that shell, right? I mean, just those top 4 or so in the East are
really good. Yeah. But they're in position, right? Because they're younger. They're younger than like those four teams will age out, so they're younger. There's also a world where like a Jaylen Brown gets fed up with the Sixers or with the Celtics and is open to a trade, and the Pacers can go get him. So the Pacers have plenty of time. I don't know. We beat the Pacers to death. They're not the most popular team, but we love them. So we got to make an episode about them. And yeah, I mean, Tyrese Haliburton is one of the most promising young players in the league. A lot of people now are saying the Kings traded the wrong point guard. Now, snapshot. Yes, that's true. But look how much better the Kings have needed Sabonis to get where they are. So I think it was just a good trade for both teams. It'd be great if they had Hallie still, but
it was unbeknownst to me at the time, but in our fantasy basketball league, I must have drafted Steph first round. Ended up with Fox one of the rounds after that. I don't know when I don't know what round dictated I pick him up. But I didn't even know at the time that he was the first official Curry athlete. So I don't even know if that matters. But it gives a lot to talk about. And I mean, Does that mean he spends any more time around Steph? Maybe like training with Steph in the offseason in any way, anything like that with these guys?
Does he just like catch some of his aura?
Yeah,
Like
does he become the new Steph when Steph retires? That's what I want to know. No, but I mean, does it matter at all that you sign with like with like a Steph brand at all? I mean, they did an interview together that they wouldn't have otherwise done. So yeah, maybe there's some chance for osmosis there. Steph's ability to seep into
Yeah.
Fox. I don't know. I mean, I tend to think that Hallie is much better than Fox as well.
I think, if you're Hallie or if you're De'Aaron Fox at this point, you're looking to find like a used pair of Steph's shoes and pull a like Mike on him.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Or like what's the Kevin Durant basically made that same movie where he's like somebody found a used pair of his shoes in the talent transferred to some kid. So I think that's the move if you're De'Aaron Fox. Like I'm gonna be around him more, and then eventually I'm just gonna like Mike him.
It's like have you seen the what's the Total Eclipse of the Heart meme that everybody throws around now? I mean, I know that I personally saw it in
It's Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Yeah.
That's is that what it is? Okay, yeah. And I saw it with 49ers quarterbacks across the ages, and then it landed on Brock Purdy singing the beautiful line. Maybe you got like with De'Aaron Fox and Steph, maybe you got a little like tone deaf Steph. I'm just trying to think of like wordplay, like Mike.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox could be the tone deaf Steph.
Yeah, sure.
In relation to that meme, he's like not the final kid.
He's not the final one. The final one is still to come. Or it's Tyrese
Who has a better career when it's all said and done, Tyrese Haliburton or De'Aaron Fox? Because I've never really thought about it like that. Because he's a Pacer in my head now. I forgot he even came from the Kings. Honestly.
Well, yeah, that is a really good question. I think Haliburton has a better career when it's all said and done. Sadly, I think neither of them have a ring when it's all said and done. But I think if you look at it statistically, you're going to be like, dude, it's hard to deny this guy. This guy's got numbers.
Well, you never know where they'll end up if their current situation flops. But yeah, I mean, if they both had to stick on their teams, I think Hallie has a much better shot of winning with the Pacers than. I don't know. The Kings are just kind of that team sometimes where you don't expect them to do certain things and then they just do it sometimes. Like they're hard to predict to me.
The problem with the Kings is they got Sabonis, who I love me some Sabonis, but he's a Walmart Jokic. And how are you going to get past the actual Jokic with a Walmart Jokic? He does like all the same stuff. You wait
for him to get hurt. You wait for him to get hurt.
Yeah,
and then you're good.
He does like all the same stuff Jokic does. Like he passes, he hits the mid range, he shoots. Like he does all the same stuff, just not as good. And then you got De'Aaron Fox and Jamal Murray. That's, I think, kind of a straight across personally. And so but the Jokic, the Walmart version of Jokic, dude, it's like Jokic is like the freaking Armani version is the problem. He's like so good.
He's crazy.
And Sabonis has got to be getting up there. So yeah, I mean, I think the Kings are kind of. I think the Kings are just kind of doomed to be a second round team, which is great, like because they've been out of the playoffs for so long. So it's cool for them to be a first or second round team, depending on the matchup they get. But I think if Fox wants to get a ring, he's going to have to go somewhere else. Dude, this is the curse of the small market team. Like either you draft a generational talent or you just never win.
And I mean, how many small market teams can even leverage drafting a great generational talent into anything beyond that? Like, the Bulls
not
with
usually.
Jordan and Cavs with LeBron. Like, okay, where
not
are
usually
they now?
Not usually. Yeah. No,
I guess the Cavs are okay, but they're.
I mean, the Warriors
not the LeBron Cavs.
The Warriors' generational talent turned into a dynasty, but once that dynasty's done, they'll go back to being the Warriors we knew before then.
Like, well, they never lost their player, and they're not a small market team either, right? Like.
Yeah, I suppose you could see them as not a small market team. Yeah,
I mean they're in California.
They were. I mean, so is Sacramento though, but they were
true.
They were like kind of in that same vein of small market teams that are like sometimes good but mostly not good. Before this current dynasty.
Yeah,
it's hard to remember. Yeah, I know.
See that, and they're like the Patriots of the NBA, really. Like
right. I mean, yeah, we forgot. Like maybe they're not actually good. They just have this generational player. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, the Heat are one that's just like not built on a generational play. So I kind of think of it as like it's kind of like the Lakers, the Celtics, the Heat, honestly, are the real only big market teams in the NBA because they're always willing to pay the tax. It's tough, So Kings probably not, Pacers probably not, but Maybe they've got a generational talent, right? They've got a potential generational talent right now, and he's got 6 years left on his rookie deal. So if you're going to do it, freaking do it now, Pacers. If they were willing to pay the tax, they could do it. If they're not willing to pay the tax, going to screw this guy.
Yeah, man.
All right, I think that's the pod. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you comment. Let us know who should the Pacers. What do you think? Think the Pacers will ever win a ring? You think the Kings traded the wrong point guard? Let us know in the comments. Our favorite comments get picked to win gift cards to our partner DAP Sports, where you can get NBA memorabilia, signed jerseys, cards, all kinds of stuff like that. We pick winners from the comments.